In this video, we're going over the Nocturnal Wonderland 2023 lineup. Let's go. What's up everybody, my name is Brett and I'm here to help you out with everything you need to know regarding music festivals and travel to get you out raging. So as usual, we're going to go through every single artist on the lineup day by day, and I'm going to give you at the end my recommendations for who I plan on seeing. Also, as usual, I will have a playlist in the description with all of the artists from the lineup so you can get ready for Nocturnal. Check that out in the description. You can see some other links as well for discount codes for things like hydration packs and clutch loops and other things like that, so check that out down below. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. First up on the list, we've got AC Slater. He's super hype. He's very similar to Chami as far as like the vibe of his set, so very hype. And he actually did a set with Chris Lorenzo at Hard Summer, which you'll see in the vlogs. I'll put it up here in one of the corners, and you can see the vlogs linked down below once they get uploaded. Biscuits is a tech house artist, definitely very hyped and on a lot of Insomniac lineups right now. Very day trip vibes, and some would even say similar to people like Side Piece and Noizu. Black Tiger Sex Machine, an amazing dubstep trio from Canada. Very heavy electro bass, heavy dubstep, and just hype all throughout. You can check them out in my escape vlog. You can see right here. I always forget which side it's on, but it's right in the corner. Blossom is a London-born house music artist raised in Phoenix. She's made many different genres, but I would say mostly bass house and some drum and bass. She is super hype. I saw her for the first time actually at Hard Summer. Again, vlog will be right up here once it's posted. I haven't posted it yet as of posting this video, but it will be out very soon. And hold on, this is gonna change in a second because I have to change the battery on my stupid camera. My bad. Boom, good, perfect. Next up, Claude Von Stroke. He is a house legend. He actually made the Dirty Bird Records label. Definitely more underground house vibes, but he's, you know, a legend. He's been around for a long time. Corey Devine is one I haven't heard of before. This is a dubstep artist kind of in the wonky and weird category, but he also does have some heavy vibes too. Dak Daniels is definitely one you should know if you're in the dubstep scene. He's actually the creator of the 40 Ounce Cult, another record label. Been around for a while, very aggressive dubstep and rhythm vibes as well. Dimension is absolutely huge right now. He is a drum and bass artist that a bunch of like house artists are even playing his songs in their set. Dom Dalla, one specifically, played at Day Trip. That Day 2 vlog's gonna be right up here. Another vlog to mention, but you can check out all the vlogs down below. Essentially, he's kind of, he writes, back to Dimension by the way, he's essentially, really, like a lot of vocals are on his drum and bass tracks, but really fast, high energy, and kind of like uplifting and happy. I'm in love with his sets. I saw him at EDC. Those vlogs are not even out yet, so just subscribe and stay tuned for those. Ferric Dawn is a house music artist, kind of sounds like groovy club house music. He's made tracks with A-Track as well as Lee Foss. Jem and Tori are actually the wives of Seven Lions, so yes, the three of them are all together. I don't know the exact details, you can look that up. But they play a mixture of different house genres, so progressive, melodic, deep house. Next up is Griffin, melodic, definitely lots of different genres here as well. Playing progressive house, melodic house, some deep house, future bass is a big one of theirs. They made a ton of really popular songs with a lot of really great female vocalists. That's kind of their main thing. Probably heard one of their songs by now. Haley Wood, back-to-back Freddie Lane. They're a couple house music artists. They're both female, so definitely go check them out. Always supporting the female DJs. They're kind of, you know, tech house-ish, deep house-ish. I reviewed Freddie Lane in my Beyond lineup review, and I was actually her first YouTube subscriber, so you can check that out there. But I'm super excited about her. She's, you know, got some pretty great sounding house songs, and the fact that she keeps being on these Insomniac lineups, good for her. Jason Ross, amazing artist. Progressive house mainly, but a bunch of just huge melodic anthem type songs. I saw him at Countdown this year. You can check that out up here or in the description as well. As I mentioned, he makes a lot of progressive house, but he actually made one of my all-time favorite dubstep songs of all time with Blank, and it's called One More Day. Joel Corey is a house music artist from the UK that was influenced a lot by UK Garage, which is essentially a type of house music. UK Garage is pretty similar to what we hear coming from artists like Fred Again lately. Joel Corey makes very vocal, melodic hits, as you probably would recognize his song Head and Heart. For the sing-along house peeps, that's definitely a set you're going to want to see. Joshua is another house music artist from the UK, and he's kind of on the more minimal side of house, kind of like Day Trip festival vibes and, you know, things like that. Level Up is a dubstep artist that's very unique with heavy rhythm influences, as you would probably guess, because she is Subtronic's fiance, and they were dating for about 4 years before he proposed. Nitty Nitty bitty, nitty gritty, now Nitty, I don't know why he changed it, is going back to back with Martin Horger. Definitely one I want to see. I guess I'll get to that later. But Martin Horger's in the kind of bass house scene, or maybe even more like kind of main stage festival house. And Nitty Gritty, he's all over the place. He does bass music, he does, you know, like dubstep, trap, bass house, and then he does kind of other regular things, especially on Side Piece, since he's in that. He does, you know, tech house and things like that. So he's kind of all over the place. He even produces a bunch of different rap songs for artists in that genre. I would guess this is going to lean a little bit more towards Martin Horger's style, you know, in the bass house genre, but it's going to be really upbeat and a lot of fun. Ravel, house music artist, I would call it uplifting melodic house music. Ray Volpe, dubstep artist. If you haven't heard his song Laser Beam, then you have been living under a rock for the past year. That song over the past year has propelled him to be on like every single music festival lineup. So if you haven't seen him, you got to see him eventually. He is incredibly aggressive. So if you're going to go see this, be prepared to call your mom and have her pick you up because you're going to be scared. Riot 10, similar description to Ray Volpe. This is going to be incredibly aggressive dubstep, but he also throws in some kind of Latin music vibes, some rap music, you know, popular rap music and things like that here and there. 7 Lines, he is a melodic master in the kind of bass music scene, does some progressive house and things like that, but he's made some of the most popular bass music songs, or melodic bass music songs, I should say, over the past decade. He's worked with tons of different artists like Slander, Dabin, Jason Ross, many, many more. He's definitely a classic EDM artist that you should see at least once in your life, so if this is your chance, I would say go for it. And if you see me pop up on your TikTok and Reels in this jersey, that's a 7 Lines jersey, and that's me, so give me a follow on Instagram. I changed it up. That was just kind of the last little batch of Reels and TikToks that I did. Sultan, he is a very unique dubstep artist from the Middle East, and it shows in his music. He brings a lot of that influence into his, especially intros, even sometimes in the drops, but his drops are crazy aggressive with all these really crunchy sounds that are very unique to him. He was putting out a ton of releases on Never Say Die, the record label, before they shut down, I want to say last year or 2 years ago. I'm glad he's finally getting some recognition since I saw him play at Lost Lands in 2022, September of this last year. I'm very excited for, you know, to see where he's going. And as you can tell, I'm wearing my Lost Lands jersey right now. It's because, unfortunately, I'm not going to Lost Lands this year. I'm doing Nocturnal as, you know, kind of a consolation prize, I guess, since I can't do Lost Lands. But I've been doing a ton of the California festivals, so I can get them all vlogged, get some information for all of you guys. So stay tuned for all of that content coming up. To Be Honest is another house music artist, going to be very minimal like some of the other artists I mentioned before, with that very heavy day trip festival vibe, kind of just head nodded and grooving. Todd Terry, another house music artist from, I guess, the 80s New York house scene. It's very, very minimal, very, very old school, and I guess he has some you know, pretty heavy hip-hop influences as well. Tong is a unique one, a house artist from China. The Insomniac profile for Tong shows bass house and tech house, but I'd probably say it's a little bit more like deep house with some tech house influences, probably between something like Joshua and Dom Dalla. Vanessa, another house music artist, has releases on labels like Dim Mak and Dirty Bird and many more. She plays house and techno and even kind of disco style tracks. Wooly, a bro step sad boy. Definitely expect heavy dubstep, tons of bro step, and some, you know, melodic sad boy hours sprinkled throughout. All right, moving on to day 2. To start off, we got Alice in Wonderland. She does trap, even some melodic trap, plenty of that because she has her own vocals on her song. She's a fantastic vocalist, and she's honestly a badass because she was pregnant not that long ago and she was performing into her 3rd trimester, like well into her 3rd trimester. She DJ'd at EDC and she was just, you know, massive because she was like about to pop. So props to her for sure. And I saw her at Tomorrowland. I don't have a vlog for that. That was like 2018, but it was amazing. Bear Grylls is another classic name in the dubstep scene. He's been around since the very early days, you know, 2010s, and he will throw an incredibly aggressive set for sure. Benny Benassi's Sunset set. So just FYI, this is not going to change the type of set that he throws. It's just going to be at sunset. But if you have been a fan of EDM at all in the last 5 or 10 years, I'm confident that you heard of his song Cinema, or at least the Skrillex remix of it, and probably plenty more of his very classic EDM songs. He's a house legend, been around since like the beginnings of EDM, and honestly, I'm sure your grandma has heard some of his songs. That's just how popular he is. Black V-Neck is a house duo that was actually discovered by Shiba-san. Lots of very minimal house songs released on Dirty Bird Records with a deep house vibe and kind of some tech house influence. Bombay is another house music artist. I'm going to read to you their description. Described as doom and gloom with bass house and progressive house influence. I'd give it a bit higher energy than Black V-Neck, and it's a bit more clubby deep house. Champagne Drip is a fantastic bass music artist with a bunch of dubstep as well as really wonky and weird trappy sounds as well. Also has a bunch of really ethereal and beautiful songs like Eternal Now with LS Dream, which is one of my favorite songs of all time. Up next we got Cheney, a house and tech house artist from the UK. Cheney makes a lot of upbeat groovy house with tons of piano sounds. Dab the Sky is dabbin' and Said the Sky going back to back. This is going to be an epic set for anybody who loves melodic bass music. Both of them, obviously two huge names in the melodic dubstep and bass music world, well, they have a bunch of immensely popular songs that, you know, people are going to be singing along to, so this one is definitely going to be great for the sad boys and sad girls. Dennis Farrer back-to-back Honeylove, another back-to-back, but this one's going to be house music artists. Dennis Farrer seems very minimal, almost kind of Chicago style house. And Honeylove I know has been a rising star on Insomniac lineups for a while now. Lots of people have been talking about her. Honeylove is very similar to Dennis Farrer, but she's got a little bit more of an upbeat feel to her music. Her songs are a little bit more dynamic and the bass lines are a little bit more prominent. DJ Icy, I love the name. He's from the US. I guess he is breakbeat funk. He started out in the 90s, so he's been around for a while, and his songs are almost like he takes deep house and tech house and then, pulls out the house beat and then puts in the break beat underneath it. Dombresky is a house legend from France. I'm sure you've heard of him. He's kind of been linked to other big artists like Blondish and Diplo and MK. He's been on just about every Insomniac lineup that I've seen over the past 2 years and more. So if you haven't seen him, take your chance, see him now, see him at some point. He will be around, but eventually you gotta see a Dombresky set. It's a lot of fun. Eptic is an amazing dubstep artist that I take every chance to see when I can because I've never been let down. I mean, I haven't seen him that many times, so I guess, I can't judge that much. But this one I think will be extra special because he announced a couple weeks ago that he's gonna take a month off from performing, and either Nocturnal is going to be his first show or one of his first couple shows, only one I've seen so far, so him coming back after a month, this should be a wild set that he's going to put a lot of his effort and energy into. Frost Top back-to-back Remke. This is definitely going to be a must-see. There's a lot of must-sees on here, but for people in the bass music fandom space, especially if you like aggressive trap, dubstep, and wonky bass. Frost Top is going to bring some of the really heavy and aggressive songs, and Remke will bring a lot of the really wonky and wub style songs. And as I mentioned, a bunch of back-to-backs that are going to be must-sees. Getter back-to-back Space Lace is an absolute must-see. Not only because both of these artists are legendary, but because of the fact that they're playing together, and the reason why that is important is because there was this beef about a year ago where Getter was going off on Excision, saying that Space Laces was making all of his songs and things like that. Won't get too deep into it. You can jump down the rabbit hole on, Twitter and EDM.com and all that stuff. But there was a bunch of beef there, so the fact that Getter and Space Lace are playing together may potentially speak to a little bit of that. And interestingly enough, you could see it in my vlog in Escape last year. I saw Getter play. He was wearing a Excision t-shirt just to make a joke out of the whole beef. And yet again, another legendary back-to-back. We've got Joyride back-to-back Ghastly. This one is going to be for my bass house music lovers out there. So Joyride, as we all probably know, or maybe learning, is a bass music artist. Ghastly has primarily been a bass music artist up until fairly recently, and especially that kind of drove him doing a side project called Gengar, which is now mostly dubstep. So I would guess this is probably going to be him going a little bit back towards his roots, especially being that it's with Joyride, that both of them are probably going to mostly play bass house. You could see a little bit of dubstep thrown in there, but I wouldn't be banking on it. Either way, this is going to be super high energy and I would not want to miss it. Odd Mob is a rising star in the house music scene, with a ton of his songs getting played by some of the most popular DJs and at the most popular festivals on the planet, especially his song Left to Right. He's definitely very hype house music, not quite bass house, but also not quite tech house, more probably towards the tech house side of things. I saw him at Hard Summer. He was fantastic. Again, vlog coming soon for that, so check the description and make sure to subscribe. Pendulum is a drum and bass group that has some of the most legendary songs to the extent of Noisia, if you've heard of them. If you like drum and bass, either you know them already because they've been kind of a staple forever in the drum and bass scene, or you need to know about them and you definitely need to go see them. They're from Australia, so they aren't really around a whole lot. First time I saw in years that they were performing in the US was September of 2022 at Lost Lands, which I luckily got the chance to see them, which was sick. I'm not sure what the rest of their plans are, if they're going to keep touring in the US, but they also haven't been on a lot of festival lineups that I've seen since Lost Lands of last year. So, I mean, once a year, that's not a whole lot. Phase 1 is a heavy metal dubstep legend on Disciple Records. Not really sure I need to say much else there. Sanpacho is a deep house and tech house artist from Dirty Bird Records. Not really sure I need to say much else there either. Shiba-san back-to-back Solardo is going to be an interesting one. Both of these artists are kind of similar to Sanpacho, but not quite as minimal. And of course, the fact that it's a back-to-back, both Shiba-san and Solardo will be able to throw in a little bit of their kind of respective styles. They're not quite the same as each other, but they are pretty similar. I would say they're close enough for it to be a really good and easy mix between the two of them, but it's also different enough for this to be a worthy back-to-back to prioritize for those house fans. Skeleton is a female drum and bass DJ, and actually she's apparently the first female DJ in North America to release a drum and bass album. She's definitely very heavy hitting drum and bass, which I like, with kind of like a neuro sound, if you know what that means. She's essentially fairly similar to Reaper's drum and bass style, with some kind of halftime and dubstep thrown into her songs, with most of it of course being drum and bass, and then her bass lines, like the actual sound design of her bass, is a little bit deeper than a lot of most recent Reaper songs. Subtronics. I think by now we all know Subtronics, right? Heavy dubstep with kind of a rhythm vibe to it. Not what a lot of people would call rhythm, and now certain people call trench. I'm just gonna say rhythm because that's what we know it as. Subtronics is always a good time, at least in my opinion. It's all about an opinion here. But he really never disappoints. But his sets are kind of familiar each time. That's kind of how every artist is if you see him very frequently. So if you see his sets a lot, or if you've seen his set recently, you're probably okay to miss this one. I'll say that, and then I'll probably end up there just because it's fun, so we'll see what happens. Valentino Khan typically makes bass house, but he's also made a lot of other different genres, so his sets are probably similar as far as, kind of hype and vibe level to something like Dylan Francis. But this is going to be in his own way. So with this, I mean there's going to be bass house, there'll be trap, there'll be house, there'll be some kind of heavier bass songs, and then, plenty of songs with vocals on it for you to sing along to. Villa is a very cool melodic trap artist. Some songs are a little bit more wonky. I don't know why I've never heard of her before. Her songs sound great. Her sets seem like they would probably be a lot of fun. For me, I am definitely guessing this is going to be a first set of the day artist, ideally day one, so that I'm not, tired on day two, let's say. If you want to see, I would highly prioritize getting there super early because that's probably what's going to happen. And last but not least, Yuki. Definitely wonky and weird trap and other bass music. They do a bunch of funny, weird, meme-worthy stuff in their sets, so definitely be prepared for that. They have incredibly cool sound design, a bunch of weird sounding songs, and you definitely want to be on your toes for this one because they're going to make it super interesting and try to be throwing you off the whole time. I highly recommend. Alright, we made it to the end, so now we're going to the recommendation section, and this could go forever. I could literally recommend you every single artist on this lineup. So I've limited myself to 6 artists per day. Kind of arbitrary, sorry, could have done 5, that would have made a lot more sense, but I needed to expand it a little bit because there were a couple artists that I really wanted to squeeze in here. So we'll just start off alphabetically on day 1, which is the 16th, AC Slater. Right off the top of the bat, top of the list. I absolutely want to see AC Slater again because I saw him at Hard Summer doing the back-to-back with Chris Lorenzo, and it was just fantastic. It was so much fun. Me and my friends were in the VIP pool, just splashing around and having a hell of a time. So I want to relive a similar vibe, obviously without the VIP pool, without Chris Lorenzo, but it was a great set, and I only got to see half of it, but the energy was just so happy that I loved it. Next up is Dimension. I've been loving every single Dimension drum and bass song for the past, I don't know, year since I've been really getting into Dimension. I've only seen him once so far at EDC Las Vegas. Again, that vlog's going to be coming soon, so subscribe for that. But yeah, I need to see him again. I need another chance to, especially since that particular set, I had to run off by myself away from my friends because no one was into drum and bass or Dimension at that time. So hopefully I'm going to be able to drag some people with me this time. Number 3 on the list is Griffin. And this is because I've been seeing Griffin on Instagram touring a bunch and playing a bunch of really interesting songs, like a lot of stuff that's kind of out of his typical realm. I love a bunch of Griffin songs, seen Griffin at Coachella way back in 2019. So I think it's time for a revamp for me personally, and just because, you know, the couple times that I've seen Griffin in the past, definitely not a letdown. Fantastic time. Number 4, going alphabetically for day 1, is actually going to be Haley Wood back-to-back Freddie Lane. I didn't get a chance to see Freddie Lane at Beyond in March of this year, so I, you know, kind of want to see now, especially given the chance to see whoever this Haley Wood is and learn a little bit about what kind of music the two of them would be playing together. I don't know. Plus, it's a little bit weird. Freddie Lane just kind of came up out of nowhere and was plopped onto these Insomniac lineups and had like almost no followers, so it's interesting to me. I kind of want to see what the deal is. Next recommendation, another back-to-back. Of course, it's going to be Nitty, a back-to-back Martin Horger. Martin Horger has been getting a little bit more popular lately on kind of just festival lineups, but his songs have been fantastic. There have been so many hits, like this one right here.
Let me take a step back.
So good. And Nitty Gritty, or now Nitty, obviously has been just doing amazing, and every time I go see him, saw him do Say My Nitty at Escape, fantastic. So Nitty bringing something out of Martin Horger, making him a little bit more aggressive, I think will be a fantastic time and just a lot of fun. And last one alphabetically on day 1 is Sultan for sure. I only see him once. He's been climbing. He deserves so much more attention because he makes such great music, and you know, he's so interesting, different than, you know, a lot of the dubstep artists out there. So definitely recommend him. Check out some of his songs before, see if it's your vibe, but yeah, just so much fun, and he goes so hard. Moving on to day 2, number 1 alphabetically is going to be Dab the Sky. A lot of people that really know me probably wouldn't have guessed this because I am neither a big Dabbin fan or a Said the Sky fan, but I do love me a good melodic bass set. And the fact that they're playing together, I do love a ton of their songs, probably most of their songs. Just don't listen to them on a regular basis. You know, I'm more of a Slander guy. I know there's plenty of the Millennium fans out there that would probably bag on me for this, so please feel free to do so in the comments. But I know this is going to be an epic set because of the two of them together. I saw Dabbin on his tour when he stopped at the Shrine. I saw Said the Sky at EDC this year. Both of them were fantastic sets, very fun. Sad Boy Hours were in full effect, so I'm just assuming the two of them together is going to be a no-brainer. Number 2, alphabetically on day 2, is going to be Eptic, of course. I love Eptic so much. He's probably one of my all-time favorite DJs for sure. I mean, I've been a fan of him. I saw him play at the Ogden in Denver probably in like 2015. And, you know, I listened to his music way before that, but DJs didn't tour quite as much as they do now back then. And anyways, the main reason is, yes, I love his music, yes, I love his sets, but this one, because he's taken a break for a month and then coming back, I feel like this is going to be an extra special set. He's going to have so much energy. Number 3 on day 2 is going to be another back-to-back, Space Laces and Getter, or Getter and Space Laces, however you want to say it. I am all about the DJ beef. It's hilarious, the Getter and Excision beef, and also the fact that Getter was supposed to do a back-to-back with Eptic at Escape this last year, and then Eptic got sick and he couldn't, so Getter performed by himself. now being able to see Getter and Space Laces, which was the whole kind of dream at that moment anyway with the stupid beef that went on. So I think it's gonna be hilarious. I think Getter's gonna do something funny. They're probably gonna have a dumb visual or something like that, and it's probably gonna be great. Plus, I mean, every time I see Space Laces, he goes so hard. It's on my hard summer. Again, vlog's coming up. I see Space Laces every chance I get. Number 4 on day 2 is gonna be Joyride and Ghastly. I am all about the surprise back-to-backs, especially on this lineup for whatever reason. I'm not normally that big of a fan of them. I like seeing my main artist by themselves, but I haven't seen Joyride since probably Escape of 2018 because he's not around that much, and the fact that Ghastly's gonna be playing with him, I love seeing Ghastly. He's so much fun. Joyride, really hype house music sets, so the two of them together I think is gonna match really great energy, and it's gonna be hype as fuck. So yeah. Number 5 on day 2 is gonna be Pendulum. I love drum and bass. I'm a huge fan. You guys need to get more into it if you're not, and Pendulum is a good one to get you started because there's a ton of like legendary classic songs you can go back and get you to kind of ease you into the drum and bass. And then of course, if you already are a fan of drum and bass, like you're gonna want to see this for sure. I mean, it's like one of those like all-star bands, groups, whatever, DJs that you want to see while you have the chance to. And last but not least, number 6 alphabetically on day 2, Skeleton, another drum and bass artist. And I'm recommending Skeleton because of the fact that she's got drum and bass, but also kind of some halftime dubstep stuff. So anybody that really likes dubstep, or even someone like Rez, I think will really like Skeleton. It'll be another crossover to helping you like drum and bass, not having a full set of it to where, you know, you're turned off totally, and you can kind of keep that really aggressive vibe too, because if you know Reaper, very, very aggressive drum and bass. So I hope you enjoyed. I spent a lot of time looking into these artists, so I would appreciate if you could go down and click that like button for the YouTube algorithm. It'll show more people this lineup review and help them with who they want to see. And make sure to subscribe so that you can see I'm gonna do a Set Time Conflicts live stream about 2 or 3 days before Nocturnal to help you guys out with choosing between Set Time Conflicts once they announce it, which, as I mentioned, is usually about 2 or 3 days before the event. So go down, click that subscribe button, and I will have the live stream set up already so you can click to, set a notification for when that goes live. And of course, check me out on Instagram. That will be linked in the description. I post a lot more content, daily. You can be a lot more up to date with me and what I'm doing, festivals I'm going to, and I even post like stories of club shows and things like that I'm going to, discounts on stuff. So definitely stay tuned for that. Thanks again for watching. I will catch you out raging. Peace.